Now, there's a new book that's out called Black Friday 13, and there's a new pandemic. There's an idiot in the White House. There's a tyrant in the Kremlin, and there's a lot of spies in Boyle because the water is turning white people black, and they want to find an antidote to the problem. But anyhow, the book is Black Friday 13. The man behind it is the award-winning author, journalist, and newspaper columnist John Mulligan, who joins us now. We're streaming live as well. John, a very good afternoon to you.
Hey, John, great to be on the show.
Now, you wrote this during the pandemic, and this is long before there was ever an invasion of Ukraine. Yet, bizarrely, there's parallels.
It's kind of strange, one of those strange things, John, that there's loads of stuff in the book that has turned out to be kind of prophetic, particularly the way that, if we can say that the Russian chief has gone off the rails a little bit. And even things like, I was looking for a name for, this is obviously set in 2030, so we're projecting ahead. It's a satire,
Yeah.
And I was looking for a name for the Russian prime minister. And I didn't like any of the kind of generic Russian names for the kind of character I was writing. I call him President Zhizny. Zhizny is actually Russian for greedy, which kind of summed up the character. But some of the diplomats in the book refer to him, and bear in mind, this was written long before the war, they refer to him as Comrade Z. And then when the war started, all the Zs started to appear on the tanks and on the trucks. It's one of those kind of life imitating art, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, you wrote it during the pandemic, and it features a pretty clueless president in the White House, and as I said, a tyrant in the Kremlin, and there's a new pandemic. You have plenty of source material, I suppose.
I had
Rich,
indeed,
rich.
yeah. Rich. There's a rich vein to be mined there, and on top of that, I'd actually worked during my life in both America and Russia, so I have a fair notion of the culture in both countries.
Hello, John. John seems to have, it's actually frozen on the screen. That is one of the. Hello, John.
Yeah, we're back again. Yeah.
Back. Okay. Just take us through. I mean, I've just very briefly outlined. It's called Black Friday 13. It's set in 2030, but just you kind of flesh the story out a wee bit. It's black humor. It's the best black humor. Just flesh it out.
It is black humor, and it's a political satire as well. But it's meant to be funny, and people say it is. There's a laugh on every page. But there's a serious message, I suppose, is what everything we try to do anyway. There's a new pandemic, or a variant of the existing COVID pandemic, but it seems to not affect black people, which sets the American president into a bit of a tizzy, because he said, this is a white man's disease. We got to do something about it. So they approach a lab in Ireland and in Boyle, of all places, and why not? And the lab decide to synthesize a vaccine that makes the genetic marker for skin color appear black in white people.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, in the rush to production, they ignore the risk that this could persuade the chromosome to consider itself black and change people's skin to black, which is what happens. But to make it worse, the American president has decided to add the vaccine to the water supply to overcome an anti-vax sentiment, particularly in hillbilly areas in Tennessee and places like that.
Right.
So there's an added layer of I suppose, comedy in that too.
Yeah, there's all sorts of layers going on, but it seems to me like the sort of book you had a busy lockdown, but it seems to me like the sort of book that when you started writing, and just as you've outlined there, and then you get into the characters, that it would flow very easily.
Oh yeah, once you come up with the initial concept, you can go anywhere with the notion of white people turning black, and all of that raises. One of the things that the American president, who is a kind of a dumb cluck, it says what's this going to do to property prices, because everybody's going to be living in a black neighborhood. So it's you can go. I could have written 2 books on it. It's where to stop and where to draw the line, and where to bring it to a conclusion. And I think it might seem like I've given the plot away. I haven't at all. It does come to a pretty satisfying conclusion at the end.
But there's all sorts of almost like real life involvement there, and it's, as you said at the start, it's sort of eerie how real life, in some ways, has almost imitated what you wrote, almost a couple of years ago now.
Yeah,
bizarre.
Yeah, and the fact that both the American political life was fragmenting and falling apart, and that there was a danger in the Kremlin. And I suppose because I have an interest in Russia, having worked there, that I do keep kind of abreast of affairs there a little bit, and I could see that it was getting out of control there, And we've seen, like, when that invasion happened, shall we say, I wasn't at all surprised.
Well, we chat about the Kremlin and we chat about the White House, but a lot of it does feature Boyle as well.
It does, of course, yeah.
Shenanigans there.
Yeah. And there's huge opportunity, obviously, for having a bit of fun with that, because as I've said, I think somewhere in the blurb or whatever, that the canny locals are well able for the American Russian spies, and I didn't have to make that up, because the people in Boyle would be well able to handle. Part of the narrative is that there's a team of Russians and a team of Americans trying to blend in Boyle, and of course everybody knows exactly who they are and what they're doing.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah. I can't walk down the street in Boyle, but everybody knows what I'm doing.
Like a lot of other small towns. And though I read somewhere that you actually have your next book finished, and it's about an immigrant coming back from England in a tractor.
I do. Yeah, that's it's a book. It's I have it. When I say I have it finished, I have it 99% finished, and the publishers have said that if this one does well, that they'll be happy to run with it. But again, they're not running a charity. They need to be selling books and making a few pounds to justify their faith in me. But yeah, I have that pretty much written as kind of it's a kind of my homage to the people who left Ireland in the 60s and 50s and worked their lives away over there for very little and came back to nothing.
Well, once people get stuck into this, it's sort of hard to put down, because you get into the characters, and it goes from one bizarre set of circumstances to another. But you do get gripped in the story, as bizarre as it may well be. It's called Black Friday 13. And where can people get their hands on it, John?
It's unlimited release at the moment. That we had a little launch as part of the Boyle Arts Festival, so it's stocked in places in that periphery, like Libra Books, obviously, in Sligo, who always are ahead of the curve on everything. They have it. Nowhere in Donegal that I know of. There's no book station in Donegal. I think Monaghan is the nearest. Book station shops have it, and it can be bought online from them or from the publishers. If people go onto my website, johnmulligan.eu/books, they'll find all the details. The libraries too are starting to stock it. Alan Hanna's distributed, so they distribute to libraries as well. So people can ask for it in the local library, and it will be stocked fairly quickly. The actual full launch of it is on the 21st of September in Dublin, and there'll be wider distribution then. But as I say, at the moment, it can be got if you go online and pick it up.
Okay. So we may be hearing more about it from the 21st. But in the meantime, it's called Black Friday 13. If you want to ask for it in your local bookshop or search for it online, and it's a funny and a great read. John, thank you very much for joining us.
Great to be on, John. Thank you.